the main focus of today is the underpass. That underpass was the connecting link to a divided town. With the privilege of growing up and going to school, when I started at school, the school was segregated. The Mexicanos were up on the north side, and the rest of the town was on the south side. There was a time where they had security guards posted on the north side of the underpass, and the question was, do you have money? Do you have a purpose to come over? Mainly to come to the store, which was a company store. Otherwise, you were limited to come over to the south side. There was a theater across the county corner from here. The theater was the only theater here in town, but it was also segregated. On one side you had the comfortable theater seats. On the opposite side you had wooden benches. So if you were a Mexicano, if you were a Mexicano and you got caught sitting in the comfortable seats, the usher would escort you out. So these are some of the issues that we dealt with here in Hurley. That also was something that the company promoted, because inside the plant you had separate bathrooms for Mexicanos and separate bathrooms for the Anglos. In the workplace, the Mexicanos were given the labor jobs. Very few Mexicanos were allowed to participate in apprenticeships and service, electricians, carpenters, welders, and so on. The thing about it is that this finally connected the community. Since then, with the help of the mayor and previous administration, this community has come together as one. We have been able to move forward. And as Mayor Encina mentioned, there are many projects that are being worked on, not only on this side of the track, but also on the north side. So again, I thank you for being here and listening to a little bit of the history of Hurley. But there's a lot more that we could mention, but I think now that we're together,
babies, we know what we went through. Gary!
I was off smoking when it went through the speech. Yeah. So I missed the whole thing.
I'm going down, Ronnee-Sue. I'm gonna
go for it.
I think you're gonna have to duck the whole way.
The military history, which gave us uranium.
Yes.
All aboard. Come on, folks. Come on back.
Say hello.
Showing up for work.
That's okay. You can still talk to me. Okay, good.
You know?
Huh?
Oh no. Makes me want to quit.
All right.
anyway, it was a horrific time. It was a traumatic time. I have never watched the movie, really. I didn't even know that the horrific scene that happened wasn't even in the movie. They should have done that, because that was the worst part of the movie. People say that it is, and I don't know whether it is or it isn't. I don't know what's in the movie. My father, again, when I went into high school, he said, I told him, I said, well, I want to go and watch the making of the movie just to get out of school, right? And he said, no, you have to go to school. And he said, I said, but you're in the movie at a union meeting. And he says, well, but I was out of work already. I wasn't getting work. So I had to go to school.
Here, rented a house while my father was at work up here at the mine. At that time, my mother was pregnant, I believe, with me. And word had spread around the miners, and they knew. So one of the workers, or one of them at all times, would be up on that tower up there, looking towards the house. And if my mother would turn on the porch light at night, that meant she was ready to go to the doctors to have her baby. So it never did happen, I guess, but they were ready in case. Then one of them would rush down to tell my father so he could come and get my mom and take her to the doctors. Just thought we'd share that story with you guys. Thank you.
So, what was your name?
Violet Fortuneberry.
And what brings you here today?
I lived up here at Hanover when that strike occurred, and I saw it. My son was born, and he's 59 years old. He's born when I lived up here in Empire Zinc. That's called Empire Zinc. The housing was on back up there on the other side of the mine. There was a lot of houses up there, company houses. That's where we lived. Well, my husband was a mechanic, but he worked on all the heavy equipment, and he could run any of it. So we moved. Up here's the post office, right on the from the post office up that hill. We bought a little place up there and lived up there. And I raised my children up there, a girl and a boy, raised them up there. So my husband worked at Empire Zinc for about, 13 years. I want you to feel something.
What is it?
That rock don't look very heavy.
Oh, right.
But boy, the iron, it's got the iron mineral in it.
It is so heavy.
I was born at Peter's House. Yeah, my husband worked at Calumet Mine up there.
Wow.
Calumet Mine.
I'll be done.
And never have learned just where that was at. I think I ought to know Terry Humble. I think he lived in Baird or grew up in Baird or something. I heard him speak. I went to the Widows Club. I had read in the book all about Santa Rita, it was all. So I was born and raised around Grant County all my life, We'd moved here and moved there. My husband's job, he joined some unions, and they sent us here. Been to Utah, where John Wayne and them made all those movies up
I'm going to go there.
15 cents an hour. This is that range of the increase. On the place, from that, and they wanted to pay holidays. Well, the company wouldn't even talk to me. First off, let me explain the caller to caller. What they wanted was equality. All of the other underground mines paid their miners from the moment they got on the cage at the collar and dropped off down into the mine until they came back up to the collar and stepped off the cage. So in all of the other places, the men were working and being paid for 8 hours. At his mine, Empire Zinc, they were not being paid their lunch hour. They had to eat lunch on their own time.
Girl from Mimbres, whose grandma used to send us chili from Mimbres. The people who were fighting for better working conditions, better pay, but also better living, wages to buy food. Kids were going to school. Good thing about what happened is that the people who were involved, including my dad, saw to it that we got educated. Now we have Representative Martinez, we have Dr. Quiñones, we have Councilwoman Lupe Cano. So don't make people angry. They will go and get educated.
I'm Juana. At that time I was Juana Moreno when these picket lines were here. My mother and Mr. Quiñones has my picture. I won't talk too much about that because there's in the picture, if you get that picture from Mr. Quiñones, if you find that picture with Mr. Quiñones of Juana Sierra's mom, I am in Santa Fe. I'm on all colleges because of David Riker. He brought me, he came and opened everything from the strike. I even cried when I saw him. He just came to visit 3 times. The time I invited him to go to my house. He came to live in Silver, and he's the one that opened everything here. I used to come walking because there were no gas to be in the car, so I came walking from Fierro over here to the picket line. My mother had rights from whoever gave us right. We had a car, but sometimes my sister was working and she couldn't bring us. So, to make it not very long, Lencho and Anita used to come and put flowers here in the statue where we had, the picket line was in the road. Over there were houses, beautiful houses, white. I think Anita and Lencho used to live there because my mom used to take care of their children and my compadre Sandoval. So we walked from here when they had that in tear gas and everything over there in the other picket lines. We used to send burritos and my mother and us made for them to eat. It was terrible. It was like, I thought it was going to turn to a guerra. To say people didn't talk to each other, no nothing. But when I went over there, it's hard, and I hope that you don't feel the way I used to feel. From when they took us over there, everybody, we started walking, and Ford was in the car. He was a tiny judge, and I went, he was with his head leaning that way, and I went and got him from here. Because I'm going to die for my people.
And finally, they sent us home with our dads. But the women got to stay in jail. And that's what I can remember I remember doing the movie up, farther up, I think it was. Yeah. I can still remember all that, and I was pretty young. But it gave us a lot of progress. And I'm proud to live here and be who I am.